Matthew, you're a former law enforcement officer. How do you think that Dallas cops and cops around the country in general are reacting to last night's events? And is there a fear that there's going to be some sort of backlash? We've already seen lunatics take to Twitter like Joe Walsh, the former congressman, and declare some sort of race war in response to this. How well-founded are fears that we might see some sort of backlash from police in response to the events of last night?
Well, first let me just give my condolences to the family and all those who lost law enforcement officers, and even to the families of those the two individuals that were killed by police. So first let me just say that. And yes, I think in a lot of ways, you know, you're talking about backlash. You're talking about sometimes, I noticed in law enforcement, my 32-year career, whenever a law enforcement officer was shot, I noticed the officers became heightened, and a lot of times the things they were doing, they would be more aggressive and so forth. My problem with the situation is that I've worked and seen aggressive law officers, and I've seen some of the things that officers do, and my concern is that there is no accountability sometimes when it should be, because we got that blue wall of silence. When you speak up, these are the things that can happen to you. I blew the whistle on discrimination and racism behind the blue wall myself, and ended up, a lot of things happened to me, all the way down to even my own colleagues leaving me on a stakeout. So that is real, but the bottom line, I think officers around the country are going to be heightened. Everybody's on alert, just like the civilians are on alert right now when they get pulled over.
What do you make of this report that the suspect was killed by a robot with a bomb? This, if true, this would be the first time that something like this has happened. And there's this disturbing irony here in the sense that a lot of this comes out of the fact of police using too much force, resorting to being cavalier with their guns, and now here we have a whole new way that a police officer took someone's life. Granted, this person was likely dangerous, but I've seen standoffs last for hours and days. Now it seems like there's a tool to wrap this up really quick. This could set a dangerous precedent.
I was kind of wondering about that. Now, I've had some training in improvised explosive devices and bombs and so forth. And sometimes, you know, the old saying is how you deal with a good bomb. Maybe, I mean, with a bad bomb, you know, a good bomb. I guess that's what they did here. Bottom line was they knew this guy had talked about explosives all over the place. So they figured anybody, anywhere going in that situation, somebody would get blown up. So I think they thought about it, they analyzed it, they said the only way we can just go in here and stop this guy, just in case he has explosives somewhere else, go in there and just blow him up. But that's the first time I've seen that happen.
Yeah. Kymone, can you speak to this idea of self-care? It's sort of a concept that maybe a lot of white people might not understand, but this idea that when there are these tragic killings of black men by police officers, there's this trauma that has to be dealt with by the entire black community that takes away from their professional lives, from work, from creativity, from love, from all these things. I watch these videos, it disturbs me, it angers me. What does it do to you when you watch videos of like what happened to Alton, Sterling, and Philando, Castile? We have just about a minute left. I'm sorry.
I think about my 6-year-old and my inability to protect him from situations such as this. But I want to drop a bombshell in the show because a lot of people may be unaware, but police officers do lie. We've seen in courts across America, they plant evidence. They lie under testimony, under oath. There's no accountability for their actions. We've also seen a history of false flags in America throughout history, so we don't know what's going on because, again, the hunter is telling the story. So we have to check these facts. No one has mentioned the gentleman whose face they initially blasted across as the suspect.
And they have not to apologize, and it's still in their Twitter stream.
And they told him, we have footage of you doing this, that, and the other, and it was all fabricated.
And that's why it was so important that Mr. Castile's girlfriend was filming that event earlier this week. There was some criticism that she videotaped it, but you absolutely need that because, as you said,
and she was arrested
you can't trust
for it.
The police, Matthew Fogg, Kymone Freeman, thank you guys so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.